Hello everybody, welcome back to another video about film photography. In this video I'm going to be talking about medium format film, and whether you may or may not want to get into it, I'll talk about the pros of medium format and the cons of medium format over like 35mm, and then I'll show some sample photos at the very end that I've taken on this camera that I just picked up. I decided to get into medium format film because I want my pictures to be bigger. I want to be able to print them larger. Medium format does that. And I wanted to try out this like square frame dimension, which you can find on really pretty much any medium format film camera, especially the TLRs like the one that I just bought. So this Yashica mat is what I've been shooting on for the past month. This is a Japanese made TLR. I'm not going to get into a review of this camera in this video. I'll do it in another video. I will say this is a fantastic camera, and for the price, it's hard to beat. So that's what I've been shooting on for the past month or so. I will show all the photos I took on this. I guess not all the photos, but a lot of photos I took on this at the end of the video. So if you want to skip to that and check them out, you're more than welcome to. I would recommend that you keep watching though, so we'll move on. Okay, so talking about the pros of medium format. The most obvious pro is the fact that you get larger negatives. With larger negatives, you can print and blow it up a lot bigger than you can with 35. You also get finer grain. You get different frame dimensions, which I really enjoy. You can find medium format that has like a comparable frame dimension to 35, but generally speaking, more of them have like a more square-ish frame dimension. Even if it is a rectangle, it's slightly more square than 35, so it kind of like opens up more creative ideas. Also, with that higher resolution, you do get less grain, so it looks less like a film photo while also looking like a film photo because it is a film photo, but it looks kind of, I don't know, it looks closer to digital. That is a pro, I guess, depending on what you're going to use it for. But let's talk about the cons of medium format, because I did run into quite a few cons. Although these cons did not scare me away from medium format film shooting, it might deter you from your decision to switch. So the first con is another obvious con. These cameras are way more expensive than 35mm film cameras. I found this Canon AE1 program, which is one of my favorite cameras I've ever owned. It's also my first film camera. This camera with a 50mm lens cost like 75 bucks. That's it. This Yashica camera right here, this one cost like $230, and that was a steal. That was a really good deal on this camera. So 75, 230. This thing is like 3 times more expensive than this camera is right here, and this is on the lower end of medium format film cameras. Medium format cameras are really expensive compared to 35. You can find 35s for like $20 to $100 all day long. Generally speaking, you're talking a couple $100s to get into medium format film cameras, so that's one con. Another con is also related to price, and that is the price of film itself. Now, most of the color photography I've done on this Yashica mat right here was done on Lomo 400, which I got for like $16 for a 3-pack from my local camera shop. Those prices have since gone up, so I can't get that awesome deal anymore. So that brought that film out to right about like $6 a roll or so after tax. My favorite film on 35mm is HP5, which is right about $6 after tax as well. That being said, that's for a 24 exposure count roll, and 120 film, this camera only gets 12 shots. So that's actually double the price, even on like the cheapest color film that I could find. You can find 120 film from anywhere from like $7 or $8 or so up to almost $15, $16 for a single roll. So the cost per frame is significantly higher than 35mm, depending on what you shoot and depending on what deals you can find on film. Now there's 2 more cons related to 120 film, and they're both related to scanning. Developing, I had no problem. So getting it on the spool and putting in the Patterson tank, developing it, no problem at all. Didn't have any weird color shifts. I mean, it works the same way as 35mm film. I actually found it a little bit easier to feed onto the roll to put in the Patterson tank, so no issues there. But when you're scanning, 120 film is stronger than 35mm film, and it constantly wants to curl up. So then when you go to put it in your tray, if you're using like a flatbed like I am, you think everything's good to go, you snap the tray down, you pick it up, and you realize that the film popped out. And you put it back in, and you snap it down, and the film pops out again. The second thing about scanning that's a pain with 120 are Newton rings. So Newton rings are basically, I believe it's when your film is like pushing too hard up against the glass of like a flatbed. So you get these like weird, distorted, like rainbow circles on your images, and I'll show you a couple examples of that right here. So I've got these on 35mm before, pretty rarely though. Like 1 out of every like 10 rolls, I'll find a single frame that has one of these Newton rings in it, and I just either edit it out really quickly or rescan it, no problem. With 120, if you've got a flatbed scanner and you're getting these Newton rings on your film, it's a lot harder to get rid of. Every roll I got like 2, maybe 3 photos that were doing that over and over again, and I had to reposition them multiple times to be able to scan them in correctly. So that's it for the pros and cons. Pros, higher resolution, finer grain structure, looks really cool, and you can, blow it up a lot bigger when you want to print it. Cons, price, scanning sucks, and scanning sucks. Pretty simple. Now, before I show all the sample photos that I took with this camera, I'm going to talk about whether I think medium format is, worth it for you. And just to warn you, it might be, it might not be. It really just depends on what you want to do and how much money you have. These cameras are a great investment, even though they're more expensive than, 35mm. Neither one of these cameras is going to lose value anytime soon. They don't make Canon AE1 programs anymore, and even if they did, they're still not the original ones. So the original ones are going to be worth more in 5 years than what I paid for it, or if not more, probably about the same. I don't see them going down in price at all. Same thing with medium format cameras. If you don't like medium format, you can always resell it for almost the same price, probably more than what you bought it for. Not a huge deal. I also think it's a great investment for medium format if you really want to print your photos a lot bigger and have just like that slightly higher quality difference between 35 and 120. So if you're wanting to print photos larger, if you're wanting to have the higher quality, if you just want to try it out, I think it's definitely worth it. However, if you're just getting into film photography and you think medium format is cool and you want to try it as your first option into film, I probably would not do that, because when you shoot medium format, there's like a few more like bells and whistles you have to think about when you're shooting on medium format, especially considering the fact that you've only probably got like 12 photos to take for each roll. So if you mess something up and you don't load the film right, or you open it up when the film is not rolled back onto the next spool, then you lost more money than what you would if you messed up with 35. If your photos are not perfect, you're losing like $1 or $2 per frame with 120, and in 35 you're losing like pocket change if you mess up a couple frames. So the price can be a gatekeeping thing for a lot of people. I also think that it's not really necessary to get medium format if all you're doing is posting photos on Instagram and Facebook, maybe even on your own website. I don't really know that you need medium format to do that. It seems like I can't really tell the difference between medium format and 35 on Instagram. If somebody has a really sharp 35mm film scan and it's a good photo, it's probably going to be difficult for somebody to know the difference between medium format and 35. So maybe it's not worth it in that way, but I enjoy it. I'm going to keep doing it. And thanks for watching. So I'm going to put up some sample photos. You can see what I've shot on this camera, and you can critique my crappy photos and maybe enjoy some of them that are less crappy than others. Thanks, and have a good day. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and that's my username right there, if I can do this editing right. Username right here. My website is right here, so check out this website right here. That's where I post like photojournalistic documentary stuff, and I post funny stuff, and I post camera reviews and a lot of different stuff on there. So check that out as well. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day, and hope you enjoyed. Have a good one.